Are you ready for something different? Let's take a couple minutes to talk about Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and what Tom King's comic might bring to life in James Gunn's new DCU Slate. Well, as many of you remember, we got that huge announcement from James Gunn the other day, and many of us are still recovering. One of the projects that totally came out of the blue was Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. The character of Supergirl has gotten more and more exposure over the last couple years, getting her own TV series and being part of the upcoming Flash movie. But this particular Supergirl comic is something quite different. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the comic itself, that's perfectly okay. It actually is a 2021 to 2022 series focused on Supergirl, but it is quite different. Now, it was written by Tom King, and the art was done by Bilquis Everly, and it focuses on a version of Kara Zor-El from the future who's actually set off to space to protect the universe. What's a little different about the comic is it's told from the perspective of an alien named Ruthie, who is somebody new for the series, who is likely to be one of the characters who is a big part of this movie. Now, throughout the whole series of comics, Supergirl navigates some very interesting complexities of time travel, and once again, we have a bit of a temporal element in James Gunn's new DCU. In the series, she actually faces off with both younger and older versions of herself, as well as the aftermath of those battles and the impact that she had in one form or another on many people and places. I think fans are probably in store for a Supergirl movie they're not expecting. And Tom King himself, who wrote the comics, is in the writer's room working with Gunn and the new crew, so I think we're likely to get something very much in the vein of this very original, very sci-fi based superhero story. Now, when I say there's a sci-fi element to the story, I am not kidding. It was one of the most sci-fi comics I've read in a really long time, and a completely unique take on Kara Zor-El. It also had elements of a fantasy flavor, much like the classic era of comics involving sword and sorcery, and I really do believe if they're taking right from the books, we're going to get a large element of not just aliens, but almost Conan the Barbarian-like weaponry and settings, which would make for a very unique and very unexpected Supergirl movie. I find it a really interesting decision, the direction they're going with this, and it being set in space and involving lots of aliens could point us to some of the larger storylines Gunn is probably developing for 4 future chapters of his DCU story. Now, all of these projects are moving really fast, and I actually expect to hear some director and casting news for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow very soon. I have a sneaking suspicion the time travel and alien nature of this project is going to play huge in the upcoming events.